All right, good morning, everybody. This is our Beef Brunch news update for the weekend in May the 27th. We're actually recording this a day later. Many of us took the opportunity yesterday, being Memorial Day, and had a little bit of time off. For those of you that lost loved ones in military conflict, we thank you for your service, and we do not take Memorial Day lightly. Any of us that you'll meet, we're very patriotic individuals and very appreciative of the freedom that we get to experience because of the folks that died fighting for that freedom. So we thank you for that. As we get started this morning, we've got myself, Jason Holmes, in the Northeast region, Lee Falk over in the Northwest region, and Vince Deshotel down in the Central and Southwest regions. So with that being said, we're going to start it off with Vince this morning. So Vince, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, thank you guys. And yeah, it's always a pleasure to be here and bring you some updates of what's going on here in our region and kind of knowing what's going on down towards the coast from where I sit in the state. Again, as kudos to what Jason says, Memorial Day is very meaningful to everybody that's probably going to be listening to this broadcast. But we certainly want to give thanks to those who have given their selves to our country and for our freedom. So let that be known. But last week we had some area-wide rains that was very beneficial. Anywhere from areas receiving none, but up to 3 and 4 inches in some spots. So that was very beneficial. It kind of helped kick our summer forages in gear. Whereas prior to that, we were in a droughty condition, as we've been saying all along. Even some of our friends down in the southwest part of the state, the coastal regions. I mean, the marshes where cattle are typically grazed or just burn up, but it also has given them an opportunity to get some fence work done there following the recent hurricanes and the lack of materials. So they've been able to get some fences erected with dry conditions. So it has its benefits in a sense, but where they typically graze cattle, it's dried out, and they even in the marshes with tractors bush hogging the undesirables and trying to get things going. So with that being said, the warm weather, the rains recently, which helped them out to some degree. They got 2 and 3 inches in areas in the coastal areas, got some grass growing, gave them an opportunity to get out and do some fencing. The tail end of the cow workings are taking place right now. There's still some spring calves being worked. Fall calves are making their way to the market. I had an opportunity yesterday to sit in the local barn. Again, I always say it, the good calves are bringing a fair price considering the situation that we're under with the high cost of fuel and fertilizer. A person can still go out and justifiably make a decision to move forward with getting some hay meadows fertilized and put some fuel in the tank with good calves. Now, the lower end or lower quality cattle, again, they're taking a pretty good hit. Kill cows was still, from the 60s, depending on condition and body score, 60s, 70s, and into the 80s in some cases. Bulls were in the 90s yesterday at the local auction barn. So, I mean, if you got some of those calls that need to go, we say it every week. In high cost times right now, if you're going to generate some money, if they hadn't been in production, it's time to go ahead and shell them out because they're just costing you at this point in time in the game. Pastures, we got a lot of herbicide applications going out on pastures right now. For undesirables, your dewberries and briars and little Chinese tallow trees, chicken trees, as you would in South Louisiana. A lot of that being managed right now. A lot of guys in the hayfield are skeptical about spending too much money, but it's all relative. It's what you put into it is what you get out, junk in, junk out, so to speak. So if you're not going to fertilize it, you're just going to have poor quality hay. But we did have some baleage made in the recent weeks, some dry hay made here in the last few weeks. But a lot of fertilizer went out with this rain that we got last week. So I anticipate, probably 3 to 4 weeks, 6 weeks here, there'll be a lot of hay on the ground, probably, early August, late July, early August. So with that being said, it's pretty mundane here in central Louisiana. The weather has been actually really good. I mean, the last few mornings we've been, in the upper 60s, and I think Saturday morning, we're in the upper 50s. So that was a feel good morning, and low humidity throughout Saturday and Sunday. Even yesterday was still pretty nice. Crops are looking good. We needed that. That was $1 million rain we had last week on. Again, I'll always say we're a big soybean and corn growing area up along the Chaffalaya River. That was maybe a $3 million rain, if you would. Sugar cane is a tropical crop. We have an abundance of sugar cane in our area, so that was a big beneficial rain for that commodity area as well. So moving forward, hopefully we continue to get some of these sea breeze showers that we're close enough to the Gulf where we get those. They're predicting some of that in the next few days, so hopefully that rings true. So thank you all for having me, and look forward to hearing your comments.
All right, thank you, Vince. It does certainly seem like, watching some weather down that way, it does certainly seem like y'all are starting to get into that normal afternoon weather pattern where y'all catch some of those sea breezes coming up. I don't know what y'all are hearing or seeing, but just over the last week or so, I've started getting a lot of phone calls about fly control. Flies are really bad right now, and I would just encourage folks to remember that whenever fly populations get really high, even though you may have some ear tags in, some fly control tags in, when those fly pests, whenever those, especially horn flies, when they get up in real high populations, those tags alone are not going to control those flies. It takes a multi-level approach. You got to put some back rubbers out, give some fly control through some feed throughs, and there's other options out there, but just stay on top of that. Scout, look and see what those fly populations are, and treat accordingly. Do you have something else, Vince?
Yeah, Jason, I just wanted that's if you got cattle that are used to coming up to a staging area, and I dealt with some of that, and I got some purebred Hereford cattle, and I mean the flies, it goes unsaid that they need to be fly free for the most part, but get them used to coming to a few sacks of feed, they'll line right on up. With today's world and the products we have, just one of these application guns, you get them lined up right on the fence, and I mean in 15-20 minutes you can treat a whole herd. Just put a little bit of some of these topicals on there that give some insecticide relief, and do that every 5 to 6 weeks, and you'll keep them pretty clean throughout the summer and the season that is the warmest and gives them the most trouble. So pretty easy to do. I mean, if you got cattle used to coming to a little feed.
Yes, sir. Appreciate those comments. Lee, I'm going to turn it over to you, bud.
Thank you, Jason. Glad to be with y'all. First time I've been able to join. Y'all see my shining face in several weeks. That may not be a bad thing. It may reduce the quality of this news update. I want to echo what Jason and Vince both said about this fly control. A lot of calls on it, a lot of interest. Fly populations are terrible right now, but I want to zero in on something Jason alluded to just to kind of drive the point home. These fly control minerals, they're a wonderful thing, a great advent, and they're a great tool in the arsenal to be used. But by themselves, when you get these populations built up like they are right now, they won't do the trick by themselves. You have to use a knockdown, much as what Vince was stating, the topical. Jason alluded to ear tags. Multiple control methods is what it's taken. Also keep in mind to rotate those active ingredients through fairly often. Hill Farm Research Station's done a lot of work in past years on resistance in horn flies, and it's there, folks, especially if you're not rotating through some of these active ingredients. So very timely topics, and I'll get on to my comments. In the Northwest region, the weather has been mostly dry and mostly hot. We have had some spells of rain come through, varying amounts from what I've I'm hearing Jason and I were talking before we started recording, and it's not a uniform amount of rain. They had us scheduled. They were predicting huge amounts of rainfall last week, and it just didn't materialize in the amount that that they were forecasting. Um, and the one constant, I've talked about this on news updates before, is the wind. You know, we're used to having a windy spring and even into early summer, a little bit of wind, but my goodness, it's been unrelenting within the last few weeks. And other than a spell of about 5, 6 days, whenever we had some truly hot, humid, still days, with no wind, it's been a fairly constant. Kind of reminds you of the Great Plains, almost constant wind blowing. And what that does, which I mean, this isn't rocket science, y'all know this. It dries us out real quickly. You know, we'll have that one of these rain events come through, and then the wind will blow 10, 15 miles an hour for 2 or 3 days, and it just sucks it right out and dries us right back. And so, uh, while the wind can be appreciated if you're working outside, that breeze can sure help. It's not doing us any favors on soil moisture. Um, had a lot of talks in talking with cattle producers about pasture conditions, and everybody feels like we're behind here, or not up to full potential. And you know, Jason and I were talking before we recorded about the transition period. We always have a kind of tough transition period in this part of the country whenever we're going from those winter forages, ryegrass, clovers, switching over to those warm season perennials such as Bermuda grass, Bahia, whatnot. There's always a brief transition period where things look pretty rough, and that period looks pretty tough right now. And it uh, most every cattle producer you talk to is going to make the comment about how terrible their summer pastures look. And of course, ryegrass is gone. Clover is still hanging out, and especially in the Red River Valley, you've still got some clover that you're getting some utilization on. But we know we're past peak on that, way past peak on that, and clover's going to be fading away very quickly. Um, as with what Vince said, in the central region and down to the southern part of the states, everybody's been in the hayfield. First cutting is, I would estimate, 90-95% done, especially if we're talking about ryegrass. We've had enough dry periods and lengthy dry periods where if you don't have your first cut made, you know, it's because either you didn't have any ryegrass present, or you didn't spend any money on fertilizer. You know, it hadn't been weather related is what I'm driving at. Why you hadn't made that first cutting. So everybody's anxiously awaiting this kind of second cutting. And this is where the rubber meets the road on these high fertilizer prices. This is where we're really going to see, you know, if, um, if folks are spending any money on these inputs or not. But this second cutting and then the subsequent cuttings that we'll get, most everybody is concerned with making enough hay uh, this summer with these weather patterns that seem like they're developing. Fall calves are being weaned or being planned to be weaned, depending on when their calving date was. Some people are seeing these kind of dry, kind of poor pasture conditions and pulling the trigger to wean. But one comment that Vince made that I'm going to expound upon is an old saying, and I've heard it from several folks, one of them being my grandfather. He always operated with the mantra that good cattle will always be worth good money. Now, it may not be enough money, but you can see that at these local auction markets and these other sale venues. Uh, Good cattle bring good money. But folks, it bears repeating what Vince said about these unproductive members of your herd. These cows that are weaning these 350, 400-pound kind of dogie type calves, you know, these number two calves, and they consistently do it year after year. Um, there's no reason to keep those folks in your herd. It's costing as much to feed them and winter them as it is your more productive members that are weaning those 500, 550, 600-pound calves as it is those poor performing members. You get them gone, because if you want to see what's suffering at the local sale barns, go look at some of these folks that are sending these 3-weight number 2 calves, steers or heifers through, and they don't have very many friends, and it's pretty tough on them. Going to finish up by saying we wrapped up Master Cattleman class there in Sabine Parish last Monday. That was over a week ago, and we graduated 17 people. Really good group of folks. Had a really good last class. Jason came in fact, and talked about the end product. We ate a good steak, courtesy of Chris Pierce there at the county AgCenter in Sabine Parish, and so had a really good wrap up. And I just wanted to mention that because a lot of folks, we've got several programs out there, and we've got something that it can fit or meets everybody's needs when it comes to furthering your education on cattle production. You know, one of our recent programs we talked about is beginner cattleman program. That's designed for folks that are either just starting, or some of them haven't even started yet but are looking at getting into cattle production. And then, of course, we got our old tried and true Master Cattleman program, which meets with a lot of interest throughout the state. And then on past that, we do have an advanced Master Cattleman program. So no matter where you're at as far as your knowledge of beef cattle production, we have a program to meet your needs. And, you know, if we never stop learning, then that's a good thing. You know, it should be our goal to further our education, no matter where we're at in our knowledge level. You know, we can always learn something, is what I'm getting at. And if y'all listen this much, y'all know I probably need to learn something about public speaking and also when to shut up. So I'm going to wrap that up. And I do want to echo what Jason said about Memorial Day. Take it very seriously. Tip of the hat to the folks that have served, and especially those families that have lost loved ones in service to our country. So hats off to y'all. Y'all have a good week. Jason, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Lee. I think we've pretty much wrapped up on field conditions, but I do want to make a couple of comments real quick. So if anything, input wise has not really increased in cost this year. The cost of some of these herbicides outside of glyphosate are really pretty consistent to what we've seen over the last couple of years. So we fully realize the challenge that anytime you start talking about fertilization, it just puts everybody on edge. We all get irritated about it. I mean, it's just one of those situations that we can't control it, and any of those situations that we can't control tend to irritate us. So and keep those hay fields and pastures free, at least free of those broadleaf weeds. We know that those broadleaf weeds that are out there, they are heavy fertilizer consumers. They're taking up moisture. So do your due diligence of going out there and looking at your fields and maintaining um, a decreased population of a good bit of those broadleaf weeds that are out there. And the other thing I want to mention about, especially in our hay fields, this is the time of year that we need to start scouting and looking for Bermuda grass stem maggot. That pest has gotten more widespread across the state of Louisiana. So if you're not familiar with that, you can go back. We've got some Beef Brunch webinars on that pest that you can go back and learn more about. But they migrate up out of Florida each year. So this is normally the time of year if they're gonna migrate this far north. This is the time of year that we typically start seeing them. So again, familiarize yourself with that pest. Know what to look for. A lot of times if you go out there and you look at your hay field and it just has a brown tint or almost a frost tint to the top of the plant, there's a good chance that it very well could be that. There's some other things out there like bipolaris or some of those other ones, fungals, that can cause some similar looking symptoms, but just again, familiarize yourself with that pest and be scouting, because this is the time of year that typically we start seeing it building up. Looking at our markets for the weekend of May 27th, this past week's slaughter at 644,000 head was sharply lower than the prior week's 680,000 head, but higher than the prior year this same time. So it was the Memorial Day weekend, so several plants cut back on the Saturday kill to give plant workers a longer weekend. So we can use that to I guess give explanation to why we did have a sharply lower slaughter this week. Warmer weather nationally appears to be aiding in springtime demand of grilling cuts. We've talked about it on this news update several times about the importance of grilling season to beef and beef demand from Memorial Day all the way out through 4th of July weekend. Those are huge grilling times, and does our beef prices really good during that time. Choice box beef closed the week at $264.05 a hundred, up $3.02 from the previous week, with a choice select spread of $19.14, which was up $3.91 from the previous week, but that is trending with the 5-year average. Live cattle cash prices for the week were 136 to 138 in the south and 139 to 145 in the north. Live cattle futures market settlements in the front months ended the week with June down 22 cents at 132.17, August down 20 cents at 132.40, and October down 12 cents at 138.05. So if we look at the week open compared to the week close, those live cattle futures did end the week steady. 5 to 600 pound steers, medium and large ones and twos, sold between 163 and 171, which on the low end was $18 lower, but on the high end that was $11 higher when compared to the previous week. 7 to 800 pound feeder steers, medium and large ones and twos, sold between 142 and 145, $5 lower on the low end, but $11 higher on the high end when compared to the previous week. On that same class of cattle, futures market settlements in the front months ended the week with August trading down 35 cents at 166.32, September down 43 cents at 169.30, and October down 73 cents at 171.83. So as we compare to the week open on those feeders, we did end the week mostly $2 lower compared to the week open. Lean cull cows, thin condition, ended the week down a penny at 62 cents a pound. Boning utility in moderate condition ended the week down 2 pennies at 74 cents a pound. And breakers, those high condition cattle, ended the week down 7 cents at 72 cents a pound. On our feedstuffs, soybean meal is up $2.40 at 462.30. Soybean hulls are steady at 155. Rice bran is steady at 190. Cottonseed meal is steady at $400 a ton. Whole cotton seed is up again $10 at $450 a ton. Corn gluten feed, the 60% product, is down $5 at $770 a ton. DDGs are down $6.67 at $325 a ton. And corn for the week was down 45 cents at $7.78 a bushel. And that wraps up our markets. Vince, going to turn it back over to you real quick.
Yeah, we spoke about some of the programs and events that we offer, to producers across Louisiana. Just wanted to make everybody aware that we're working on, and we have a registration open for our Master Cattleman program. It's going to be in the Beauregard Parish area. Actually going to be held at the old Rospine Research Station, LSU AgCenter's Rospine Research Station, there south of Leesville, between Leesville and DeRidder. Registration is currently open until July 15th, and we'll start August 4th and run through October the 6th. That's consecutive Thursday nights through August, September, and ending on October the 6th. So through the links in this program, you can find out the contact information that you need if you're interested in registering for that.
All right, thank you, sir. And whenever Ashley works her magic on this, we'll make sure that we get that information attached to this. So that does wrap up our news update again for the weekend in May the 27th. We appreciate y'all listening to these. Again, we're always here to help you. Reach out to us at any time that you need some technical assistance. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. We've got a really good team of agents now across the state doing livestock work. I've been doing this quite a number of years now, and I think we've got one of the best teams that we've had in a long time. So reach out to us anytime that we can be of help to you. And again, we appreciate it. We'll see y'all again in a couple of weeks.